We stream this, Mara?
It's loading.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Just so we can be on the record, guys. You don't want me to start my subcommittee career on the outs. All right, we'll get started. 2 seconds. Are we live? Tell me when we're live, please.
We're live.
Great, thank you. Good morning. I'm Delegate Robin Lewis. Welcome to this first convening of the Land Use Subcommittee in the Environment and Transportation Committee. Thank you, colleagues, for joining us. This is our first meeting, and it will be an organizational meeting just to touch base on our scheduling and other minor administrative details. So we'll get right to it. Thank you to all of the wonderful staff who are here with us and for who set up this live stream. So it's difficult at this point to lock in a regular meeting date for this subcommittee, but I'd just like to ask you guys if you have a preference for trying to meet at some other time, and then we can just block in a time slot. So I would propose Wednesday mornings at 8 or 8:30, or any other time you want to propose. Delegate Terrassa, go ahead.
Unfortunately, I can't do Wednesday mornings at all because we have delegation for Howard County on Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's really tough, isn't it? Okay. How
Madam
about,
Chair, don't we have Tuesday afternoon slotted for us?
I don't know, do we? Staff, can you help me, please? Since I don't have any
Yeah, I
staff right
think
now.
Tuesday is housing and LUE. Is that
Okay,
right,
great.
Ben?
Tuesday's natural resources and land use, and historically I think might be some overlap, but in recent years the subcommittee has a meeting on Tuesdays at noon, I believe.
Okay.
Ben, is that right? I don't have a ton of bills in this subcommittee, but that's my recollection, is that in order to avoid any conflicts between natural resources, they were meeting early, but it's also something where you could work it out with natural resources, where one subcommittee meets first and the other follows, and you can maybe flip-flop, week to week, depending on bill load.
That's right. That's what housing and environment is doing this year.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. I appreciate that thinking's already been gone into that. So is that generally okay with everyone here? What did we say, Tuesday?
Tuesdays
12?
after bill hearings.
Right after bill hearings.
And Kristen, if you remember, we did noons, which kind of cuts things short because you got to get it done by 1, and that was for Brooke Learman's schedule.
Sure, whatever. Like I said, I don't have a ton of bills. I'm just throwing it out there. But if I think it sounds like you guys were thinking the afternoon anyway, if I heard correctly.
Okay, for now, let's work with that. It's just nice to have something predictable and locked into our schedules, and I know everyone here will adapt and adjust as we need. So let's fix that. And I think, Kristen, are you our lead counsel?
No,
Patrick?
so here's we all have different subject areas, so it really just depends on what the bill is. I don't have a ton in land use right now. I think between Ben and Patrick, I'm not sure if it's kind of split there, but yeah, we're all
Carrying
here.
sharing the load. So all three of you, Ben, Patrick, and yourself, will all be on all of our meetings, or depending on the bill.
Right.
Correct.
Depending
on
Okay.
whatever what's on the agenda, the appropriate council will be in on that meeting.
Do you want us to go through our subject areas again?
Yes, that would be great. Would you start, Patrick?
Yeah, I do ethics and land use as it relates to transportation, mainly transit
Thank you.
and transit-oriented development.
And TOD, thank you. Kristen?
The land use areas that I handle are ones that have environmental impacts generally. For example, there could be like siting issues of citing like energy facilities. Sometimes those would be a joint assignment with ECM, but all the ag and natural resource conservation is in natural resources and ag subcommittee. But every now and then there could be some sort of a land use and local planning issue regarding some of those issues, just depending on how we're moving around workloads.
Okay, terrific, thank you. And Ben?
Hi, Chair Lewis. I handle the land use regarding real property and local government.
Great. Thank you so much. That's super helpful. Other than scheduling and our expert team of council, is there any other administrative matter that we should address here? I think the only thing any questions? The only thing I can think of is just to let you guys know that we will be having bill work sessions. I'll work with council and staff to figure out exactly, but we've already heard several bills that have been assigned to the Land Use Subcommittee. Delegate Holmes' bill that we heard, we're going to hear a couple today. So, and on the last week, we heard House Bill 166, that's coming to us, Conflict of Interest Bill, House Bill 272, that was the Planning Modernization Bill we heard from the Secretary of Planning yesterday, coming to us. So, but kind of relatively light, but I just ask you to stay tuned for our first work session. I think you'll get the list of bills we'll be working on. Are there any other matters we should cover? Questions? I see Delegate Lehman and then Delegate Terrasa's hand disappeared, but Delegate Lehman, would you like to take the floor?
Yes, Madam Chair, and welcome to this wonderful subcommittee, and I look forward to you leading us. Two quick questions. So one, for purposes of our calendars, should we be putting in then as a standing, weekly meeting, this subcommittee for after ENT, hearings, whatever time those end, unless, we're told otherwise, where we are alternating with natural resources and ag. And in any case, it would be the same day, but it's either earlier or later. Is that essentially what we're doing?
Yes, and I'll be happy to send an appointment. That way I can know what the calendar is. But we said Tuesdays at 12 or right after bill hearings, as I heard, I think I heard correctly. Tuesday at 12 or after bill hearings, which means it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock. Did I get that right, Council? Is that what you guys said?
It can be either, but I think moving forward, if you want to set up the Tuesday after bill hearings as your ongoing, and just to see how that works with having, working with the other subcommittee that also has a meeting at that time, you could eventually change things around as needed. But I suggest just go ahead and put it on that Tuesday slot following bill hearings.
Okay, not at
And,
12.
we can discuss with Vice Chair Boyce about, like Patrick had mentioned, environment and housing, they're just flip-flopping each week who goes first, just to keep it fair. So one subcommittee isn't always the older one or the later one. But right now there's not a ton of work, so I don't really feel like there's going to be too much of a late night at this point.
Okay, so Tuesdays after bill hearings, alternating with natural resources. And is that an appointment that's sent by the committee, or would I send it? Because I'm used to managing my own schedule and sending my own appointments.
Sure. It's what will come automatically will be a link is generated, and you get that do not reply or no reply email. So that's where the meeting link will be. All subcommittees are different. Some subcommittees will send out an actual meeting invite and put the link in the agenda there. Some just send an email that says, hey, here's the link, here's the agenda. It's really how we can talk offline, how you would like to go forward with that. And if you have staff who's able to send things out for you, it's up to you how you would like to send out that.
Okay, I'll just say this. I depend on my calendar and I use it religiously. I send appointments so that I know what's going on. So I'd be happy to work with council to set up a regular appointment that will come from my email. It will have the link. It'll be updated as the links are generated. We'll update it with the proper link. But I think I owe it to you guys to give you a little predictability and a little standardization. So I'm happy to do that, working with council. I will do that. Thank you. Delegate Davis, and we'll, let's go ahead. Delegate Davis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it appropriate at this time to discuss how we're going to handle this? at the in the meeting?
Delegate Davis, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Could you repeat that? How are we going to handle
Witnesses in the subcommittee hearings.
subcommittee hearings? It's a great question. So you're thinking, are they virtual or in person?
No, I mean,
Okay.
are witnesses going to be allowed?
Oh, yes, thank you. Will witnesses be allowed? So my understanding, that was a question I had. In my old committee, witnesses were allowed and advocates were allowed to speak. That's something I'm used to, and I found a lot of benefit in it. And I think we can make our own rules, but I'm happy to entertain that as an option because I've seen it work very well before. What are your thoughts or suggestions, Delegate Davis?
I don't like the idea of rehearing.
So you do, I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit.
I do not. I do not.
Okay. Okay, that's something you would be less, that would be less favorable in your view. Okay.
Well,
I
certainly
appreciate
the
that.
witnesses should not speak unless you let them.
Well, they would be asked. I mean, it's not like a
But
committee
they don't always
hearing.
wait for you to ask.
Do we have the ability to turn mics on and off and to
Yes.
call on people? Okay. So how does that change your perspective, Delegate Davis? Okay.
We'll see how it goes, but I don't.
Okay. Tell you what, I really appreciate the question and the thoughtfulness. We can build our systems so that they work well for us. So let's come back to that question. I think what we'll do, it might be helpful for you guys if I write up sort of organizational procedures for us. We can look it over, talk about it, and come to a consensus. Great. Thank you so much for raising that, and we'll come back to that. Delegate Long, and then I think we might have to wind up after this. Delegate Long.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to echo my colleague's sentiments because we serve on different committees together, and I think I don't want to speak for Delegate Davis, but what has happened a lot of times is some of our witnesses have been very spirited and have come on and have overtalked us, have tried to act as if they were playing a role on the committee with us, or questioning our decisions in subcommittee hearings. And so I don't think that we're saying, no, they can't have a time to address or answer questions if and when called upon, but definitely many of them took it upon themselves to throw the equilibrium of the committee off.
I understand, and our work is the priority, and we can set our own norms. So I hear you. Message received. I'll write up our procedures and we'll discuss and come to an agreement. Thank you. Delegate Naraki, and this will be, I think, the last question. We've got to get to committee at 11.
Not a question, Madam Chair. Just I am offering a third to my colleagues from their perspective, their Delegate Long and Delegate Davis as well tonight.
Great. Three's the charm. Okay. Message received. Thank you. Anything else you guys want to cover before we adjourn? All right, so stay tuned for a calendar invitation, and that will be updated with the regular links. Thank you to staff for your support, and I'll see you guys all in ENT shortly.